Hey guys, how are you? So we're going to get straight into this video, which is about the tools you will need to start crocheting. So first up is yarn, and then next up is a crochet hook. If you have these two things, you are well on your way to becoming a great crocheter. Side note, sorry about the not so ironed tablecloth that I used. I'm not quite sure why it looks like I haven't ironed it, because I did, but we move. So let's get into the yarn aspects. Yarn is the most important thing. If you don't have yarn, you can't crochet. Simple as. This is some double knit yarn, which is a thin yarn. Here we've got some aran yarn as well, which is slightly thicker than double knit yarn. And then we've also got some chunky yarn, which is thicker than both aran and double knit yarn. And then there's both thicker and thinner yarns than the ones in this video. So yeah, this is by no means an exhaustive list. Each of the balls I have today are 100 grams in weight, and they are 100% premium acrylic yarn balls. The recommended hook size is on the back of the labels, should be on the back of the labels of yarn you buy. If you're buying online, it should also be in the description, maybe below the actual picture of the yarn, or somewhere on the website. It should also tell you what the recommended hook size is. So this is a 6mm hook, which is recommended for chunky yarn, or this particular chunky yarn. What we will also look at is what to do if for any reason your piece of crochet is a bit tighter or looser than what you expected, but it's an easy fix. You can always size half a size up or down in your hook size, and that should usually fix the problem. One of my favorite things about yarn is the numerous colors available in loads of different weight categories of yarn. So there's literally something for everyone, whether you like something bright, something minimal, something toned down, something in your face. There is always something available for everyone. This isn't sponsored by the brand of yarn I'm using. This video is not sponsored at all. But I just thought for consistency, I would use one brand of yarn. Okay guys, so I totally sped through this part, but this was just me doing a weight by weight, size by size comparison for you guys, so you can see the strands a little bit better. And personally, as a beginner, I would suggest that you maybe start with a chunky or aran weight yarn, just because I found that that was easier for me to learn with. My first ever hook was a 6mm hook from John Lewis. I didn't invest in a set straight away. I had a single metal hook, and that was it. So I will put some links in the description box below so you can have a feel of different options and see what's best for you. And please ignore my nails. They are a hot mess. I left my acrylics on for too long. Also, apologies if you can hear any background noise, either of children, and my neighbour's children are in the garden playing, having the times of their lives, honey. Or my fridge, yeah. Natural causes that I can't stop. But yeah, let's move into hooks. So I am just getting my hooks out. I have so many hooks. Oh, don't know where that piece of fluff came from. But yeah, I have a lot of hooks now, but like I said, I started with one, so don't feel any pressure to have as many as I have now. And I'm also super aware that as many as I have, someone has more, so that makes me feel good. The 3.5mm hook is missing from this set because it is currently in use for the red projects that I'm working on. Stay tuned. Head over to my Instagram actually for more on that. I have a couple of bigger sized hooks, and if I wanted to double strand my chunky yarn, for example, that's when I'd use those. But starting off, I'd probably say, like I said before, pick a chunky yarn or an aran weight yarn, and also pick a 6mm hook or 5mm hook as your start. Please, my nails. Oh dear, I need to go to the nail shop. But there's a 6mm hook, and I've also got a 5mm hook in my hand, which you have seen before. Yeah, what we're going to do also is look at the difference between the hooks with the handles and also the metal hooks that are inside the case. So these are both 6mm hooks, and I think it is a case of preference. If I'm wanting to work really fast, I will choose the fully metal one. Like I said, that's what I started with, that's what I learnt with. But it also does tend to hurt or make my hands cramp up after a while. So that's when I started using the ones with the silicone at the end because they're just comfier to grip. I would say if you start a project with one of the hooks, stick to the hook you made, because even though they're both 6mm, they're made by two different people, two different companies. It can change how your work ends up. Okay, so now we're moving out of essential territory for crochet and into highly recommended territory. And the first thing I would highly recommend is some embroidery scissors, or scissors that are small enough for you to carry around with your work. It's just so useful to be able to snip your work when you need to change yarns or things like that, so you're not in a tangled mess. I'd also recommend getting some stitch markers. I still use them, but as a beginner, it's really easy to actually lose stitches at the beginning and ends of your work before you turn. And so stitch markers really help you know where your end stitch is. So these yellow ones are really useful. They're just open-ended, and the blue ones clip into place. The orange and yellow ones are super useful if you are trying to, hold a stitch really quickly or for a short period of time. I like the blue ones because they stay in place and don't fall out. I'd also recommend getting a tape measure, just so you can measure your work. If you're making a scarf, you want to know how long the scarf is going to be, how many times it's going to be able to wrap around your neck. If you're making a piece of clothing, you'd also want to know if it's going to fit you. So that's really useful. And then this is just recommended, a sketchbook and a pencil. So I didn't actually have a sketch pad until the latter part of last year. But if you're anything like me and need to visualize a self-drafted piece, then get one by all means to write down your measurements, the stitches you're going to use, the colours, anything you want to just get on paper before you forget. But that is totally optional. I would recommend you get some large-eyed needles, if that is the correct term for them, just because it makes weaving in the ends of your yarn into your work to secure them a lot easier. You can use a crochet hook to do it, but I prefer to use these. And these are just a few that I thought would show you just for size purposes. So I have two plastic ones and a metal one. I use the big one for the chunky yarn, and the smaller one for something like double knit yarn or smaller. So my love, that's pretty much it from me. There are links in the description for you to have a look at, and I will see you next time.